Welcome to today's show. This is a perfect example of how they write these stories and the tone that they use to make us all look like legitimate nut job crazy people, when in fact they're taking something that is actually true. They're mocking, they're using comedy, and they're using deflection, and they're using, crazy Christian as the narrative to make us all look nuts, when in reality everything that's going on and being spoken of is true. You get this article in the Washington Post. The woman who claims Monster energy drinks are a tool of the devil is back just in time for Halloween. Now, for those of you that don't know, the logo happens to be 666 for Monster Energy. These 3 lines in Hebrew represent 6. Okay? So there you go. The video made the rounds again this weekend, roaming the crowded hallways of Twitter, where the bored and the distracted could exhaust another 2 minutes of their lives by learning about an alleged unholy alliance between Satan and Monster Energy drinks. So you can see right there how Satan and Monster Energy, right? So people roll their eyes and they think all this stuff is just kooky and crazy, but really in reality the joke's on them, because we're all telling people the truth of what's happening because we have eyes to see and ears to hear. It was an encore performance from Christine Weick, the Christian activist whose wicked dissection of Monster's branding first surfaced around 2012. And they show some of her clips here. In her short presentation at a book fair, the video of which has been viewed nearly 11 million times, she attempts to remove the veil from our eyes so that we can see the quote-unquote truth about Monster Energy's logo and marketing practices. The jagged M on the can is not the 13th letter of the English alphabet, but 3 consecutive depictions of the Hebrew letter Vav, V-A-V, which has multiple usages depending on the context. One usage is the symbol for the number 6, which is White's chosen definition. Hence, the can spells out 666, the mark of the beast. She then turns our attention to Monster's slogan, Unleash the Beast. Now, these are all things that should make sense to people, because this is true. This is exactly true about Monster Energy. If you didn't know that, now you know. She then turns our attention to Monster Energy's slogan, Unleash the Beast, which she says could be a reference to the beasts that emerge from the heavens, the sea, and the earth in the book of Revelation. But even if you doubt her interpretation of the letter M, she adds you cannot deny that the company has buried a Christian cross in the letter O on the Monster name. Right, so she's showing the can upside down. This is just unbelievable. And what is witchcraft, as the article says? When the cross goes upside down, she says, turning the can upside down for a big fake swig, bottoms up, and the devil laughs, something to think about. This is how clever Satan is, and how he gets into the Christians' homes and a Christian's life, and it breaks God's heart. And then she makes a gesture with her hand and says, right, see what kind of sorcery we're up against, Christians? Right, so they love this kind of stuff to, use this to make fun of us, and then to make other people out there not want to be Christian, like I always tell you. It says, over the years, many other reputable companies and brands, including Starbucks Coffee, Disney, and Texaco Oil, have been victimized by similar versions of devil theories, which have always been shown to be absurd, says a spokesman for Monster Energy, who wrote an emailed statement to the Post. This fabricated devil theory is delusional, fanatical, or simply trying to besmirch the good name and reputation of a successful company and brand. Snoops, the fact-checking site, calls this theory false, which anybody who's ever been to Snoops, I always call it Snoops. It is everything that you read on there, just realize it's the total opposite. everything that this is ridiculous website, which I think is actually funded by George Soros. At least I think I've heard somebody say that before. I never really looked into it. But they try to debunk every theory out there, or every claim out there, right? So if if you say we never landed on the moon, they'll have a thing up that says, Snoops, you never landed on the moon. False. And then they'll tell you why. And they're so full of garbage. All they try to do is deflect. So any article that would quote Snopes, I mean, how pathetic. The fact-checking site calls the theory false, but offers evidence to debunk it. Snoops basically says that this woman doesn't understand the Hebrew or Greek languages. Perhaps the most important information here lies in the woman's own past. So this is the woman who's making these claims. She's not alone. I mean, everybody knows this, who's awake. She has been the subject of several interviews over the years, and she holds nothing back. She describes growing up in a strict Christian Reformed household that allowed no TV, no movies, and no music. She eventually rebelled against such a straitjacketed childhood by turning to, you got it, witchcraft, right? So now they're trying to discredit her by saying that she turned to witchcraft and trying to make it sound like, oh, she grew up in a crazy Christian home with no TV. Oh, my goodness, right? They always do that to make people go, oh, it's Christian fanaticals. It was the ultra form of rebellion against God, she tells one interviewer, to worship the devil outright. She got pregnant in high school, she says, and she was ready to have an abortion until her mother found out and apparently persuaded her daughter to have the baby. The woman then says she got married but cheated on her husband regularly. She ultimately left her first husband, which she says ruined her daughter's life. After wrecking her marriage, White's words, not ours, she moved in with a boyfriend. The boyfriend had a daughter. The daughter had a White Zombie CD. White noticed the witchcraft symbols on the CD cover. She happened to open the CD and read the lyrics. Then when I'd seen the blasphemous words against Jesus Christ, it bothered me, she said. I gave my life to the Lord right there, thinking, okay, Lord, the devil's done with me now. Now I'm working for you. That day, according to a different interview, was apparently in 1995. White now calls herself a simple servant of God. As part of her service, she wrote a book explaining this, a verse-by-verse explanation of the book of Revelation, which she self-published in 2010. Her book warns that Christians must not assume the rapture will save them from the tribulations foretold in Revelation. And okay, they go on to just kind of make her sound like a lunatic, Christian, which is what they, this is the whole purpose of, CNN, Washington Post, Huffington Poop, right? They love to just come out and any Christian that they can get, and then they can go, oh, but she turned to witchcraft. Oh, and she cheated on her husband, and they can kind of slander their character, make them look like hypocrites. They love to do that because they know that it plants seeds in people's heads to hate Christians, to not ever want to be a Christian. Okay? It says the popularity of her Monster Energy Satan dissection, even non-believers were impressed with her thoroughness and passion, gave White the confidence to take on other issues important to her interpretation of Christianity. She told the interviewer she was soon standing at a busy intersection on Mother's Day, suggesting to passing motorists that they should thank their mom today for not being gay. So of course they put that in there, right? So that makes people even more mad because it's hateful. She's standing on Mother's Day, and they'll say that that's rude. So this is what they do, right? But in reality, this story is telling you the truth. And the truth of the matter is Monster Energy. The can is 666. The slogan is Unleash the Beast. Anybody can see it. It's blatantly obvious. But they try to go, well, you can interpret the Hebrew language or the Hebrew alphabet or the Hebrew numerology or whatever, and you can take it this way or you can take it that way. It can have dual meanings, so she's making it up. Right. So Unleash the Beast in the 666 must be a huge coincidence, right? So they're telling you the truth in plain sight, and then the rest of the article is obviously just bashing her. It says White has even taken upon herself to confront pop singer Katy Perry's parents, both evangelical pastors, for allowing their daughter to fall under the influence of Satan. And then they put in the church, the church lady from Saturday Night Live with Dana Carvey at the bottom of the article, just to make it even, this is how mind control works. This is how they do it. Simple as that. Take the truth, show it out there, right, which is part of sigil magic, show it to everybody, and then focus the whole article on slandering the person who's saying it, making them look like a lunatic, right? Throwing stuff about rapture, the book of Revelation, throwing stuff about her cheating on her husband, throwing the church lady, throwing her attacking Katy Perry, saying Katy Perry's Satanist, the way that they say it, the way that they're writing it in the article, the tone of that is how they keep people under this spell, under this deception of thinking that all this stuff is insane and it's crazy. Well, then why doesn't what do the people at Monster, what is their excuse going to be? they're going to say, well, it's called monster, and it's, supposed to be a monster's claws ripping through, but it makes an M for monster, right? And then they have to suck and unleash the beast. And top it all off with what happens, they'll have people who chug these types of energy drinks. It's like people eating bath salts and stuff like that. Who even knows what chemicals are even in this stuff? I don't know what's in Monster energy drinks, but I don't want to know. But this is the stuff you can always spot and see. And as soon as you see it, realize why they're doing it. Especially if you're new in the awakening process, right? Because people who are just waking up, they still can be persuaded into thinking all this stuff is crazy by articles like this. They have to realize that these articles are just propaganda. They're just here to control you and push you and sway you and move you and keep you away from the truth and keep you doubting things. Especially they want you doubting Jesus Christ. They want you doubting the Bible. They don't want you believing it. Okay? Because this is about souls. This is spiritual warfare. Every soul that they get, no matter how they do it, no matter how they manipulate and lie and deceive people into believing in evolution and to believing, that Jesus isn't real, or getting people to worship Satan outright. That's a win for them every time, no matter how they do it. And it's easier for them to trick people, than it is for Christians to get people to believe. Because all they have to do is use mind control tactics like this. It's just cheap is what it is. But I mean, that's what the devil is. He's a cheapskate, right? All his minions are cheapskates. They have to use lies and manipulation to lead people away. Make things up like evolution. It's pathetic. That was the Washington Post. Just more garbage for them. I wanted to share that with everybody out there. Monster Energy, in fact, the logo is 666 and Unleash the Beast. It's pretty easy to see. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.